The world is a global village.
And that's because information travels beyond boundaries.
And on This Morning on ITV,
we guarantee unbiased analysis on topical issues
that will educate you,
entertain you.
So join us.
Join us.
join us.
Join us.
join us.
Join us.
Every Sunday to Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your ultimate news and current affairs program on television, This Morning on ITV TMR. Join us!
And now let's take a look at the updates with what has come in so far, just to ensure that you are abreast, you can take action, you can take precautionary measure. I'll have with me in the studio a consultant medical microbiologist from the University of Benin, Dr. Ariagbonse Osagbovo. Doc, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We also have with us Dr. Osaze Obaze. He's a consultant family physician, University of Benin Teaching Hospital. Doc, many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay. The numbers keep rising in Nigeria. This seems to be a trend of COVID. What are your thoughts?
Well, if we look at what has been happening in other parts of the world, it's only the natural course that we expect that it keeps rising. This virus is a very transmissible virus. It spreads very, very easily. And so once we have a case, it's almost, it's inevitable that it's going to spread. And that's why we have to take as many precautionary measures as possible. We must take all the precautionary measures so that we can halt the transmission. That is what all the measures that we are taking is for, to halt the transmission and let the infection die out naturally.
Okay, so once the transmission is halted, you think and you believe that the infection will die out naturally?
Yes, it's a matter of time before it dies out. It's just that we need to prevent it from spreading to as many people as possible because we don't know the outcomes. If you look at the fatality of this virus and compare it to some other viral infections that have come up in the past, the fatality rate is not really that high. But for those that get severe infection, of course, it can be fatal. So we want to prevent that. We don't know who is going to come down with very severe disease.
Okay. Dr. Saze, let's talk about the precautionary measures. Social distancing, because I heard when you got to the studio, I was like, Doc, are you sure we are meeting social distancing in the studio now? It's about 3 feet. I believe that's if you look at it, just what foot is the ruler? If you put that together, I'm sure we are on the right track, but that's just on the lighter side. Let's talk about the precautionary measures, because you still find people who believe that this is a big man's sickness, it's a big man's disease, because most of the widely reported cases, they've always been, some of the highly placed personalities in the society. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'd like to start where she stopped in talking about the efforts being taken. It's actually to break the transmission. Now, on the average, WHO says one person is likely to infect a minimum of 2 people. So it's that infectious. Now, like she said, it might not, the fatality rate is not very high. So we hope if we break the transmission by isolating ourselves, when people get it, most people who get it will recover. So hopefully, while they are self-isolating and not mixing with people, they have recovered before they come in contact with other people. Now, for the precautionary measures, she's a medical microbiologist. I would have liked her to talk about the virus. Usually when I talk about the precautionary measures, I like to talk about the virus, the nature of the virus. Now, 2 key things. It's a relatively big virus, which will not stay airborne for long. So when people expel it, when they're talking or when they cough, it tends to stay in the air a bit, then drops to surfaces because it's relatively heavy. Secondly, it's an enveloped virus, so it will heat, alcohol, water, and soap are enough to get rid of it most times. So going with those 2 basic observations, social distancing, that's where it comes in. So if you're not too close to people, and they talk and they expel it, you're not likely to inhale it.
Yeah.
Now, but the follow-up of that is that because it drops to surfaces, you're likely to pick it up with your hands and transmit it to your respiratory tract by your face.
Okay.
So that's why there's a lot of talk about not touching surfaces unnecessarily, washing your hands often, using the hand sanitizers because you might not always have access to soap and water.
Yeah.
Again, the distance, like you talked about, if it's not something that will stay in the air for long, you don't want to be so close to people that when they talk, this little time it spends in the air, you're able to inhale it. So I think those are the two principles on which the precautionary measures are taken. Again, for those who feel it's a disease of the elites or a big man's disease, it's very far from the truth. You see countries like China and Italy where it's killing millions, thousands of people in their tens of thousands. You realize that it can't just be the rich that are dying.
Absolutely. That, now you mentioned one of the precautionary measures which has to do with alcohol-based sanitizers. I've heard people leverage on this to believe that, well, if you used to take maybe 2 shots of brandy or whiskey before, all you need to do, just scale it up to like 10 shots. I mean, that will help because, you know, someone said to me, you know, alcohol-based, the active ingredient there is alcohol. Rather than go for the sanitizer, why don't you just go for the real active ingredients? So what are your thoughts, Doug?
Yeah, but when you are taking alcohol, you are drinking it.
Yes.
And it's going into your digestive
So
system.
perhaps you have to wash the thing down.
No. This is a respiratory illness. Okay, so it goes in through the respiratory tract, through the nose. It can also go in through the mouth, but you know there's a connection between the mouth and the respiratory tract, which we call the pharynx. Okay? So it's a respiratory virus. It's going to go in through the nose and the mouth to the pharynx. So when you drink alcohol is going into your stomach, so it's not going to affect what's going on in the stomach. Okay, I mean what's going on in the respiratory tract. The use of alcohol on your hands to sanitize your hands is so that if you have come in contact with surfaces where the virus has been
deposited.
Yes. If you touch it by any chance, then by the time you use your alcohol sanitizer, you are going to get rid of the virus on your hands, so that when you touch your face or your nose or you don't inhale, you don't get the virus. So taking in alcohol, ingesting alcohol is not going to get rid of the virus.
Okay, I hope you heard that. I hope you heard that taking in alcohol will do nothing in terms of preventing you from contacting the virus. So if you have that notion, just disabuse your mind from it completely. Let me come to Dr. Osaze. There's been talk about the facilities available to mitigate this challenge. If there is an occurrence, how ready are we as medical personnel? How ready are we in terms of the facilities? What are your thoughts?
Well, basically, like we said, most people who get it will recover.
They will eventually recover.
Most people
on their own.
Yes, that's what statistics have shown. I mean,
really? Let's talk a bit more on that. Most people who get it will recover within a short period, within a long period, depending on their immune system, or what are the factors?
Well, there are several factors. Like you said, the immune system. The way the body is designed, it's designed to take care of most viral infections. So most viral infections will run their course, like we say, and the body will be able to curtail the infection. So the immune system is key. Now, people who are susceptible, the elderly, we usually like to say after the age of 65. Now, those who have underlying pre-existing health conditions, heart problems, very key, maybe some kidney problems, people who have cancer or who have some form of ailments, chronic ailments that are reducing their immunity. Now, these are some of the factors that will affect the mortality rate. Now, most people who don't have these risk factors will recover. There have been exceptions, but I think the youngest person in Europe who has died about 16 or 17, then a few days ago a baby died. We don't know if they had pre-existing health or medical problems, but by and large, most people who don't have any underlying medical problem or who are not elderly will recover. Now, for the facilities, like you said, it's a range, the spectrum of the severity of the ailment, ranging from people having very mild symptoms and recovering without even knowing they had it, to people who have moderate to severe symptoms, to people who have very severe symptoms. For those who have the mild to moderate, basic health facilities will be able to cater for them. Now, for those who have the very severe infections, you may need ventilators because, like she said, it affects the respiratory tract and the person can't breathe well and all that. Now, all over the world, there's pressure for these facilities. I mean, just yesterday, the US government had to enact a law to force GM and some other companies to produce ventilators. So there's a push on the resources all over the world. So it's really difficult to say any system or any government will be adequately ready to handle it. We see what's happening in Italy, even in America.
In Spain.
So I think the key is really to mitigate the spread, to prevent it from spreading and to prevent a situation where we have to depend on our health resources for very severe infections.
All right, we've had people a bit reluctant staying indoors. I mean, from the broadcast yesterday, Mr. President said Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun State are on lockdown for 14 days. How useful is that timeline for combating the spread? How useful is that timeline, 14 days?
Well, 14 days is very useful because the incubation, what we call incubation period for the virus, is about 2 to 14 days. Incubation period is the time it takes from when you get the virus to when you now have
when somebody gets the virus.
When somebody, when an individual gets the virus. Okay, so the hope or the thinking behind that 14 days is that if there's anybody, for instance, that is harboring the virus during that period, the infection, the body takes care of the infection and it burns out. So by the time normal activities resume, those that were having the infection, especially the asymptomatic or mild ones, they would have taken care of the infection by themselves while they are indoors.
Okay. Just a quick one before we let you guys go. COVID is not a death sentence. Why is this so much apprehension and fear about it? Because you said a while ago that in terms of its mortality rate compared to other diseases is a bit low. Why is there so much fear hanging around COVID? Is it a death sentence, Sanze?
Well, it's not, like I said earlier. And it's very important, key you raised that issue because in the United States, I know those who were pushing for the system to open up quickly were saying more people die from the normal flu they have every year than have died from COVID. It's a bit of a dilemma. The issue now is that we are dealing with a pandemic, which is cutting across the whole world. Like she said, it's usually most times these plagues in quotes are usually localized. You may have swine flu or the Middle East respiratory syndrome or the Southern African respiratory syndrome. They are localized to areas at most continents. But now we have even Ebola was almost localized to Africa, spread a bit to the west. But now we're having a situation where we have an issue that is spreading across the whole world. And like you said, it can be mild from what we have in Nigeria so far, where you have one mortality, to very severe, where you have people in Italy dying, almost 1,000 people every day. So it's a wide range. So I think because it's cutting across and the rate of spread, the rate of the infection, we don't know who is going to come down with the severe form of the disease. We don't know who is going to have a mortality from it. So I think that's why everybody's taking these precautionary measures. And again, with the nature of the severe form of the disease, you need some sophisticated equipment to handle it, which is difficult for many, especially for resource low countries like ours. So I think that's why there's a global sense combined with the fact that there's a lot of awareness now, social media, everybody knows what's happening everywhere, and the level of infection control is actually increasing all over the world. So I think these are some of the factors that have resulted in.
The earlier we break this transmission, the better for the whole world, because everywhere is on lockdown.
Yeah.
The economy. So people are going to suffer the longer we allow this thing to continue.
Okay.
And even though the fatality rate is not that high, by the time, because it spreads so easily, by the time you now calculate the numbers, it does add up to a substantial pressure on our healthcare system, which is not as advanced as even some of all these developed countries that are having it. So it's just best for everyone everywhere to unite and really break the transmission of this disease, because the earlier we break it, the sooner we can return back to our normal lives and economic activities and all that.
All right.
Sorry, just to, I think it's very key for the economy.
Okay.
Because the lasting effect after the infection might be more devastating. When we might get pushed into a global recession or depression, a lot of people might lose their jobs. Some economies might go bankrupt. So I think the other aspects, the effects of this scourge, apart from just the medical, are what the governments and countries seem to be worried about. I mean, people in Nigeria now, you are shutting down Lagos, and some people have to work every day to get their daily bread. So you have governments having to give out money to people, and I think some of these other impacts, just aside from the direct health consequences, are some of the issues that are making this worrisome.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, Dr. Osaze Obaze is a consultant family physician from the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, as well as Dr. Riagbonse Osaigbovo. She's a consultant medical microbiologist, also from the University of Benin Teaching Hospital. A part of our partnership with the University of Benin Teaching Hospital on daily updates on COVID-19, so you can take action and be well informed. I mean, we try as much as possible to dissuade your mind from some of those baseless theories and unempirical statements that are in the public domain, which could mislead people to do certain things that will compromise the very bad situation that we're already into. But I'm hoping that in the days to come, this will be a thing of the past. Life can return to normal again, but you also have a responsibility to play, which means all the precautionary measures that we've been given, use of hand sanitizers, washing your hands regularly, and avoid touching surfaces and avoid close contacts and stuff like that. You try to adhere to it so we can all live a cleaner, safer environment. Dr. Simon, thanks for coming. Dr. Osaibo, thanks for coming.